to Cody Talks NFL, presented by Blitzalytics.com. And here's your host, Cody Manning.
And welcome into the Friday edition of Cody Talks NFL. Hope you guys have been having a great week. We had a really great AFC West matchup last night. I really enjoyed it. It was probably some people on Twitter put it out there, probably the best uniform matchup of the year. Really dig those uniforms that were going on Thursday night. But I'm going to go ahead and dive into this Friday episode. I don't have three pieces of news to start the episode. With it being after the trade deadline, I would expect we're not going to really get much news over the coming months up until at least week 17 when we start hearing about more firings and stuff like that. But I got two big pieces of news, and I'm just going to go ahead and dive into last night's game and then talk about some bye teams and then give my game previews for Sunday. Two biggest pieces of news. It kind of relates to the Monday episode. Jaguars didn't end up going ahead and naming Nick Foles the starter. He will make his return and make his debut, well, not debut start, but return from his injury against the Colts next week in Week 11. If you listen to the Monday episode, this is not a surprise to me. They paid Nick Foles. They need to see what they have in him. They're sitting at 4-5. They're still within reach of the wild card, still within reach of the AFC South. And, well, they're going to see if maybe he can jolt them and provide some juice and maybe make a run and try to make the playoffs. Regardless, they need to see what they have in Foles to see if they want to go with Foles or Minshew next year, and maybe they try to trade away Foles next year and roll with Minshew. It's something they need to see what they got in the guy. But if you're a Jaguars fan, at least you got two quarterbacks, right? And I'm going to go ahead and get in the next piece of news. Another thing that was one of the main news topics I had on Monday's episode. It ended up happening. The Panthers did place Cam Newton on IR. That way there's no pressure for him to return. Kyle Allen will finish the year out as a starter. Now, here's the thing. Just because he's placed on IR doesn't mean his season is necessarily over. He can return. They can use the designation for him to return from IR. That's more based on if the Panthers make the playoffs. Now, if this scenario were to happen, it wouldn't be like he would return from the IR and be the starter in the playoffs. This would be a scenario where he would be the backup just in case something would happen to Kyle Allen. It's something to monitor, I guess, if the Panthers do end up making the playoffs. Now, is Kyle Allen's chance to prove that he can be the starter of the Panthers of the future? Because if he has an up and down into the season, maybe they let Cam return next year. Maybe they look into other options. Keep in mind, they did spend a third-round pick on Will Grier, so maybe they even still move on from Cam Newton and let Will Grier and Kyle Allen battle it out to see who's the starter in 2020. Now, if you guys are a listener of the Fantasy Football Hot Seat, I do apologize. I kind of messed up on Cam Newton's cap numbers hits last year. For next year in 2020. Next year, he's in the last year of his contract. Now, if the Panthers keep him, he would be a $21.1 million cap hit. Not that much for a starting quarterback compared to others in the league. Now, if they were to release him, they would save $19.1 million in cap savings, and he only has $2 million in dead money. But I don't anticipate they would release him. I think it's a thing where, based on Kyle Allen's performance, he'll either return as a Panther next year on that last year of his deal, or they will explore trade options. If I would make a really early prediction, I know people floated out the Bears. It would be a viable spot. I'm not sure how if they would even be able to fit him, though, still, with that low cap hit. I honestly still lean on what I said earlier in the season before the trade deadline. I think Tennessee is a more ideal spot. They're the ground and pound type team. I think him and Derrick Henry could work off each other. They got some wide receivers. They got a young tight end in Jonnu Smith. So I think Tennessee makes sense. I know people floated out the Broncos. I don't think the Broncos would. I do not like that fit at all. So I don't think he would go to Denver. So it'll be something to monitor when we get into the offseason. But if anybody remembers, we kind of seen this trend over the last couple of years. It started with Alex Smith. When he got traded during the Super Bowl week. And then last year was Joe Flacco. So we may see even multiple trades during the Super Bowl week this year. Maybe it's Cam Newton. Maybe it's Jamal Adams. Maybe it's Trent Williams. That's when we'll start maybe seeing some deals go down in the offseason. And, of course, I'll be here for you guys giving the updates at the time. I'm going to go ahead and dive into last night's game. It came down to the end. Raiders end up pulling off a win. They won 26-24. Raiders do go to 5-4. The Chargers are now 4-6. It kind of was, you could tell both teams understand that this is probably the last time they can get into playoff contention. Of course, there's still plenty of time for maybe the Chargers to turn things around, but that offensive line it's garbage right now. Russell Okung left with a groin injury, and once he left, that Raiders front was able to get pressure on Rivers all night. He was making some bad decisions, making some terrible throws last night. You could argue if Phillip Rivers plays a better game, the Chargers do win that game. But I want to give credit. Raiders really fed off the emotion of that crowd. Well, we'll see if they could potentially get flex into a primetime game, but that is, or if they do make the playoffs, but that was the last primetime game in Oakland. Crowd was raucous last night. I thought maybe the Chargers will win, but Raiders do win. They're sitting at 5-4. They got the Bengals and the Jets coming up. So the Raiders could easily be 7-4, barring them falling flat on their faces in those matchups. So Raiders got a shot to make the playoffs. I thought they were a year away. They could still technically make the playoffs. They still got some holes to fix, but you gotta like their ground game, and you gotta like that their young defense is making plays. Max Crosby and Colin Farrell did show up last night and got I think 2.5 sacks. I know he got 2. I think the stat with is he got 2.5 sacks. I like the little thing I saw on Twitter between those both rookies. They called themselves Salt and Pepper, and I know Max Crosby, kid's been balling out, and I want to give credit to Roy Countryman of Blitzalytics. He was really high on Crosby, and that's why you guys want to pay attention to our scouting staff as we get into the draft season as it comes up. Another thing with the Raiders, though, Carl Joseph did leave with a knee injury, and LaMarcus Joyner did leave with a hamstring injury. So if those guys got to miss some time, that will be brutal for their defense, because their secondary does need some veteran players like LaMarcus Joyner in there, because their secondary is so young. But if they were going to miss a couple games, like I mentioned, they got the Bengals and Jets coming up. So it seems like they can maybe afford to miss a game or two so they can get 100% healthy and make that final push for the playoffs. But you got to like what you're seeing, man. John Gruden's coaching the hell of the roster, and I really loved it. If anybody's got a chance to check it out, they missed it. When he was going around and hugging fans and high-fiving them, that energy, man, you got to love that from your head coach. I'm going to go ahead, though, and dive into news topics for any of the bye teams. If you're a fantasy football player, I'm sure you know it's bye-pocalypse. We got 6 teams on a bye this week. As far as the Broncos, it came out that with their second-round quarterback, Drew Lock, they're in no rush to start Lock because he's going to need a few weeks of practice to get up to speed since he's returning from his injury. Brandon Allen will continue to start. Now, Allen will likely minimally start the next 2 games, possibly the next 5. The expectation is Drew Lock will start the final 2 games of the season against the Lions in Week 16 and against the Raiders in Week 17. Definitely not a surprise to me. They need to see what they have in the kid. I know it'll be a very small sample size to see what you got in Drew Lock, but you got to see at least what you got in him to see if maybe you want to roll into 2020 with him as a starter, or if you want to bring in some competition for him to compete against and see who will be the starter, the Broncos quarterback in 2020, because I don't anticipate Joe Flacco will return. Like I talked about with Joe Flacco's injury, I got this feeling Joe Flacco is going to retire this offseason. With the Eagles, they did end up placing Deshaun Jackson on IR because of a core muscle surgery. In response, they did sign Jordan Matthews. Doesn't really move the needle much for me, but keep in mind, just like Cam Newton, just because he's on IR doesn't mean his season's over. He could still return from IR, but that will be based on if the Eagles will make the playoffs or not. So that'll be something to monitor as we go. Jaguars are on a bye. There's no news or injuries outside the Bulls starting news. With the Patriots, no news or injuries on them. With the Redskins, we all been following the little Trent Williams drama with Washington. They did place Trent Williams on the non-football illness. 2 important notes with that. That means the season's over, and the team technically doesn't have to pay roughly about $6 million left of his salary. If they don't pay him that money, this is going to get ugly. I'm not going to go on a rant like I did in past episodes, but this has ugliness written all over him. They try to hold his money out. Dan Snyder better recognize that he needs to pay the guy. Otherwise, he's not going to get any guys that want to come sign with Washington in the future until he sells the team. Speaking of the sell the team, I didn't put it on the my script, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. I debated about it last night when I was doing my research on the Redskins. A local Virginia brewery is selling an IPA beer saying that it's called Sell the Team, and it's pleading Dan Snyder to sell the Redskins. So if that Virginia brewery could get me some IPAs, I'll gladly drink them, put them on my Instagram or whatever. So if you're watching this episode, feel free to DM me. I'll give you my address, and I'll gladly promote that. Another last note on the Redskins, they did activate Darius Geis on their active roster. So we'll see what they got in the kid. Sucks because he's just been so banged up in his career. So, I mean, I don't have high expectations because A, he's been banged up, and B, it's the Washington Redskins. And then with the last 5 team, the Texans, no news came out with them over the week. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into the Sunday games and give you guys my previews. The first matchup I'm going to talk about, Baltimore is traveling to Cincinnati to face the Bengals. One thing with the Bengals, actually, AJ Green was supposed to return this week. We haven't seen him all season. He quote-unquote re-aggravated his injury. He said he's not expected to play on Sunday. The report came out he's not going to play until he's 100%. I don't want to speculate. If a guy's hurt, he's hurt. But why would AJ Green want to come back to a dumpster fire of a team when he has no more? He's on the final year of his contract. He wants to get one last payday. If I was AJ Green, I would say my foot hurts again. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm not going to say he did that, but it kind of seems like that, right? So we'll see if he is able to play with the Bengals this year, but I would also not be surprised if we don't see AJ Green in a Bengals uniform again. As far as injuries heading into the matchup, as far as who people have been on the injury report this week with Baltimore, seems like they got some sickness going on in the locker room. Lamar Jackson hasn't practiced with a sickness, but the expectation is he will play. Ronnie Stanley's been limited with a knee injury. Marshall Yanda has also been limited with an illness. Earl Thomas has been limited with a knee injury, and Chris Moore has been limited with a thumb injury. On the Bengals front, Dre Kirkpatrick has not practiced with a knee injury, and Alex Redmond has not practiced with a knee and ankle injury. As far as this game, I do expect Baltimore to walk all over them. Bengals are starting a rookie quarterback in his first start in Ryan Finley. They should be able to get after him with that poor offensive line. Rookies tend to make mistakes. They have a pretty good secondary. They should be able to maybe get some pick sixes possibly. Now, I totally expect them to dominate, but let's not forget, I think it came down to like 2 or 3 points. The Ravens barely beat the Bengals earlier in the season. So it would not also surprise me if they keep it in a matchup, because these divisional matchups can be weird like that. But I totally expect the Ravens to win this game. Going on to the next game, Buffalo is traveling to Cleveland to face the Browns. There is actually no news or injuries with the Bills. The Bills are relatively pretty healthy right now. As far as the Browns and they're one of their only. They got 2, I guess, good offensive linemen. But with their best offensive lineman, their center, J.C. Treader, they went ahead and agreed to a 3-year extension. It's a $32.5 million extension that includes more than $23 million in guarantees. So that's good on them. They recognize they got to at least keep one good piece of their offensive line for the 2020 season and beyond. As far as injuries for the team, though, heading into the matchup, Ricky Seals-Jones has not practiced with a knee injury. Olivier Verner has not practiced with a knee injury. Joel Bettino is their other good lineman, has been limited with a back injury. And then Demarius Randall is practicing again. He's limited with his hamstring injury. As far as how I think this game's going to go, I don't know why. I got a weird feeling about it. Everything says the Bills should win. But with the Browns being at home, why do I feel like the Browns are possibly going to have a good game? But I can't do it. Like, they've been trashed this whole year as far as coaching, the offense, the defense. The Bills still need to put together a great offensive performance. I think this is going to be a lot closer than expected. I'm going to pick the Bills because they are the better team, the better coached team. I think the Bills win by a field goal. I could see this being like a 24-21 type win for the Bills. But I also want to be surprised if the Browns pull off, I guess, what you could call an upset, because they still have that talent, right? Maybe they get things going on the second half, but I'm going to take the Bills. I say they win like a 24-21 type game. I want to see another good – I know Josh Allen cut down his turnovers last week, but I want to see like a balling out effort from Josh Allen in this game. We'll see if the Browns maybe can get OBJ going, but that defense is pretty tough. But I'll see what – and also another thing to note is Kareem Hunt is making his return for the Browns, so maybe that can help that offense as well. And maybe the double threat of him and Nick Chubb could run all over the Bills defense. But I am going to take the Bills in this matchup. Going into the next one, Detroit is traveling to Chicago to face the Bears. There is no news on either team. Now, bear with me. The Lions are pretty banged up heading into this matchup. The following five players have not practiced this week. Deshaun Hand with an ankle injury, Damon Harrison with a groin injury, their punter Sam Martin with an abdomen injury, Romeo Okwara with a groin injury, and Tracy Walker with a knee injury. Now, Matthew Stafford, he has been limited this week with a hip and back injury. Joe Dahl's been limited with an ankle injury. Mike Daniels with a foot injury has been limited. Graham Glasgow has been limited with a back injury. And Ashawn Robinson has been limited with an ankle injury. And then on the Bears front, Eddie Goldman has been limited with a thigh injury. As far as this game's going to go, it's a divisional matchup, so of course these can be hard to predict. But that injury report is kind of sticking out to me. And everybody kind of knows that saying, what is the saying? Like every once in a while, a sun shines on a dog's ass. I think it's going to shine on that dog's ass in Chicago today. On Sunday. They're at home. I'm going to take the Bears. I know this is weird to say. The Bears completely fell on their face over the last month. Mitchell Trubisky's looking bad. The offense is looking bad. The defense is looking like they're giving up. But in the NFL, every once in a while, team finds a way to win, even if they're having a bad season. And I think Chicago finds a way to win. I think it'll be a close divisional matchup. I'm going to take the Bears in this one, 21-17. I could be wrong. I could also see the Lions completely beating down them like a 35-10 type win. I could see that, but something tells me Bears win. I don't like that injury report for the Lions heading into this matchup. They're really banged up on the defense. They really can't stop the run this year, and a lot of those guys on the injury report are on that defensive front. So I have a feeling David Montgomery is going to get featured a lot. He's going to tear them up. Tariq Cohen here and there. Maybe Mitchell Trubisky just does enough, doesn't turn over the ball, and they find a way to win. It's not going to be like a dominating effort. Like I said, I think the Bears win like a 21-17 type win. And then my next matchup, battle of the New York teams, battle of the mediocre teams. The New York Giants, I guess, technically are facing the Jets at home. I really wish they would actually just split the field, like, have the Giants in one end zone and the Jets logo in the other end zone. Since they're both in New York, it makes no sense to quote unquote call one team the home team in this matchup. As far as news and injuries on the Giants front, Evan Ingram is actually dealing with a mid-foot sprain. He's expected to miss this game. So if you're a fantasy owner like I am, make sure you do make that adjustment before Sunday. Other injuries on the Giants front, though, John Halipio has not practiced with a hamstring injury. Sterling Shepard is still dealing with that concussion. It sounds like it's pretty bad. He might have to miss the season. If you happen to be listening to this, Sterling Shepard, I really hope you get healthy. I wish you the best. Mike Remmers has not practiced with a back injury. And then on the Jets front, of course, we already know their medical staff cannot keep anybody healthy. So bear with me as I go through all these injuries. Ryan Khalil has not practiced with a knee injury. C.J. Mosley has not practiced with a groin injury. Daryl Roberts has not practiced with a calf injury. Now, the following players have been limited this week. Le'Veon Bell with a knee and ankle. Henry Anderson with a shoulder, Kelvin Beachum with an ankle, Chris Herndon with a hamstring, Nelville Hewitt with a neck and knee injury, Jordan Jenkins with a calf injury, Steve McClendon with a neck injury, Demarius Thomas with a hamstring injury, Brian Winters with a knee and shoulder injury. As far as how I think this game's going to go, I think the Giants are actually going to dominate. I know it's weird to say. I could definitely see it being a closer matchup, but the Jets are just a dumpster fire right now. Adam Gase doesn't know how to coach all this talent that he had on this team entering the year. I'm not saying they're like an overly talented team, but at the end of the day, that team has Sam Darnold, Le'Veon Bell. Robbie Anderson's not a bad wide receiver. They had C.J. Mosley's been banged up this year, but they got like Quinnen Williams on the defensive line. They had a pretty good defensive front too entering the season, but I think Daniel Jones has a great day because that weak secondary of the Jets. I think Saquon Barkley just runs all over them. I think he goes over 150 plus scrimmage yards in this matchup. And I think the Giants just walk away with a victory. I think they end up winning like a 24-10 type win. Not like a completely dominating effort, but I think they win by 10 plus points in this matchup. I'm going to go ahead and get into the next game, though, for you guys. Kansas City is traveling out to Tennessee to face the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes has fully practiced the last 2 days. So barring a setback or barring any more caution with his kneecap injury, he is appeared to set to make his return. As far as other injuries for the matchup, Alex Okafor has not practiced for the Chiefs this week. Eric Fisher has returned to practice. He's been limited with a groin injury. Frank Clark has been limited with his neck injury. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, probably my favorite name to say this year on this show, has been limited with an ankle injury. And then Kendall Fuller has been limited with a thumb injury. Man, the Titans, though, some crucial players on their defense are pretty banged up, and on their offense too. Jayon Brown has not practiced with a groin injury. Jarrell Casey has not practiced with a shoulder injury. Corey Davis hasn't practiced yet this week with a hip injury. Delaney Walker has yet to return to practice with his ankle injury. Their he maybe be a star one day, but their stud rookie, Jeffrey Simmons, did not practice yesterday with a hamstring injury, and then Harold Landry was limited with a shoulder injury. As far as how I think this game's going to go, I mean, if they had all those guys on defense, maybe the Titans can make this close. They tend to be a tough team. They can be a tough out. But with the return of Patrick Mahomes, that's going to provide some much-needed juice to that offense. I know Matt Moore did enough to keep the Chiefs afloat and beat the Vikings next week, but Patrick Mahomes is fucking Patrick Mahomes. And they're missing Malcolm Butler. He's done for the season, like I talked about on the Monday episode. So I expect the Chiefs to walk all over them. I think Patrick Mahomes will pick them apart through the air. Tyreek Hill will have a good day. Sammy Watkins will have a good day. Travis Kelce will have a good day. That Chiefs defense has really came along. I think they're going to get in Ryan Tannehill's space, make him force turnovers. And one thing I'm pretty actually interested in watching for this game out of the Titans, though, on their offense. I don't know if anybody saw. I believe it was Matt Harmon that shared the clip. No, he retweeted it. I think I forget the guy's name, but a Titans beat reporter actually shared the clip on Twitter. But at one point in their practice this week, Ryan Tannehill threw to a guy running a route. It actually kind of looked like a decent route, too, in Marcus Mariota. So I don't know if Marcus Mariota is about to start playing like a running back / wide receiver position for the Titans. That would be, I don't know, maybe what's his name, Bill Polian, that called Lamar Jackson a wide receiver, should have called Marcus Mariota a wide receiver. But I'm kind of interested to see if that does play out, or maybe that was just some practice fun that they were having. But yeah, I think the Chiefs end up winning this game by 7 to 10 plus points in this matchup. Next going on, Arizona is traveling out here to Tampa Bay to face the Buccaneers. No news on either team. As far as injuries heading into the matchup, Zach Allen hasn't practiced with his neck injury for the Cardinals. Tremaine Brock with a hamstring injury. Chase Edmonds with a hamstring injury. Justin Murray has not practiced with a knee injury. And on the Bucs front, Carlton Davis hasn't practiced with a hip injury. Carl Nassib hasn't practiced with a groin injury. DeMar Dotson was limited with a hamstring injury, and Ali Marpet was limited with an ankle injury. As far as how I think this game's going to go, this screams shootout potential. Both teams' pass defenses are not that great at all. I think both teams end up going over 30 points. I think this comes down to whoever has the ball last. It's either going to be a field goal or like a touchdown to take the lead type game, I feel like. I'm going to take the Bucs because they are at home. It's Arizona traveling out to play a 1 p.m. game. I always kind of lean towards the East Coast team when a West Coast team comes out here and they're playing a 1 p.m. game because it kind of messes up with their biorhythms. And also, too, the Bucs, they're 2-6, but they're a weird 2-6 team. They're very competitive. They just haven't found a way to win the games at the end. That could easily be flipped. They could easily be a 500 team. They could easily be above 500. I'm not saying they're a really great team. They're just a competitive team underneath Bruce Arians. And it just seems like they've dropped too many close games for them not to win one. So I am going to take the Bucs. I do think they find a way to win. Maybe it's a Matt Gay 50-yard field goal to win at the end. Maybe it's Jameis Winston connecting with a Mike Evans or a Chris Godwin on a touchdown to take the lead at the end of the game to get the win. But like I said, I could see this going either other way. I think this comes down to whoever has the ball last because I think both offenses are going to explode all day and make big explosion plays, and there's going to be a lot of yards and a lot of points. So if I was a betting man, I would bet the over in this matchup. But yeah, I think the Bucs win because because they got to win something at some point, right? And then the next matchup, Atlanta is traveling to the Saints, to New Orleans to face the Saints. No news on either team. As far as injuries, the Falcons front, Ito Smith has not practiced with a neck injury. Matt Ryan's been limited with an ankle injury. Jamon Brown's been limited with a foot injury. Desmond Trufant has been limited with a toe injury. And then James Carpenter has been limited with a knee injury. And then the Saints are getting pretty healthy. The only notable name I took from the injury report was Patrick Robinson. He's been limited this week with a hamstring injury. So, yeah, Alvin Kamara will be returning this week. As far as how this game's going to go, sorry, Joe Carlino of Blitzalytics, but the Saints are going to walk all over the Falcons. That defense is legit. Drew Brees is back. Alvin Kamara is back. I think the Saints walk away easily. They're going to win by 10-plus points. I think Alvin Kamara has a great day. I think Drew Brees has a great day. I think that defense is going to get in Matt Ryan's face. He's going to end up turning the ball over, not Matt Ryan's fault, just his offensive line's fault. And I think the Saints walk away with the win, and they're going to be setting themselves up to go ahead and win this NFC South as soon as they can. So I think the Saints walk all over them. I really don't have much to say on this because one team's season is going this way up, and one season team's going all the way down. It's about, I don't even know if they can go lower than where they already are at, to be honest. But I think the Saints easily walk away with a win. And then I'm going to go ahead and dive into the 3 afternoon games that we got going on. Miami is traveling out to Indianapolis to face the Colts. No news on either team. As far as injuries with the Dolphins, Ken Webster has not practiced with an ankle injury. Evan Bohm has been limited with a hip injury. Devon Gotcho, I might be butchering that. I'm sorry. Has been limited with a shoulder injury. Rashad Jones has been limited with a chest injury. Daniel Kilgore has been limited with a knee injury. And their first-round pick, Christian Wilkins, has been limited this week with a toe injury. With the Colts, T.Y. Hilton has yet to return to practice, but that's the expectation with his calf injury. Paris Campbell hasn't practiced with his hand injury. Pierre Desir has not practiced with his hamstring. Some good positive news, though, for the Colts is Jacoby Brissett has been limited in practice with his knee injury. That's something to monitor. See if he does maybe get a full practice in today. I'm not sure if they're going to announce like he's going to start or if they're going to do the coaching stuff and hold it from Miami so they don't know who they're going to face, either him or Brian Hoyer. But it's kind of seeming like Jacoby's going to play on Sunday. I know he's pushing to play. And then Ryan Kelly's been limited with his Matt Burner injury. As far as how I think this game's going to go, I think I'm going to take this from Rob on the Fantasy Football Hot Seat. But I think Marlon Mack is going to have a heyday. I think they're just going to ground and pound. I think Marlon Mack is going to run all over them. They shouldn't really need pass the ball to win this game, but they can because the Miami defense is bad. I know Miami's coming off a win, but that was against the Jets. I think the Colts defense is going to get after Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think we're going to see the bad Ryan Fitzpatrick. At least I hope so as a Colts fan, right? And he's going to have some turnovers. I think Darius Leonard, there's been a lot of talk that he's been having a down year, but if you turn on the tape, he's getting like double teamed deep. The offenses are game planning for him, but I think he's going to have a type of game where he gets his 10 plus tackles and he does end up forcing a turnover somehow. I think the Colts should win this game by 10 plus points. They're at home. It's not like they're traveling to Miami or anything like that. I think the Colts win. I think they just use the ground and pound and they just have the time of possession and they just keep the Miami offense off the field and they walk away with the win and go to 6-3. I'm going to go ahead and go into the next afternoon game. The Rams are traveling out to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers. As far as news and injuries with the Rams, Brandon Cooks, he's going to be out of this game. I know they already ruled him out with his concussion, but he did post on his Instagram yesterday that he does expect to return to the field at some point this year. So that's got to be something positive for him. Bryce Hager has not practiced with a shoulder injury. Some good news, though, is Clay Matthews. It appears that he's going to be set to return for the Rams, and hopefully that he can provide them some pass rush. On the Steelers front, they're pretty banged up right now heading into the matchup. James Conner did not practice with a shoulder injury. The expectation is he's not going to play. Ramon Foster has not practiced with a concussion. Benny Snell is yet to return to practice with his knee injury. Trey Edmonds, who helped replace Connor in the last matchup against the Colts, he has not practiced this week with the ribs injury. Their fullback, Roosevelt Nix, has not practiced with a knee injury. And then Tyson Alua has not practiced with a knee injury. As far as this game, I know the Steelers just came off a tough win, but I think with the Rams coming off a bye, they understand with how the Niners are playing, with how the Seahawks are playing. They have to stack up wins. I think the Rams are going to come out firing on offense. Keep in mind, Aaron Donald is from the city of Pittsburgh. He played college football in Pittsburgh. He actually grew up as a Steelers fan, and when high school, I guess he played some football games there in Heinz Field. So I know he's going to want to show out for his city. I think Aaron Donald, with facing looks like a banged up offensive line of the Steelers, I think he's going to dominate. I think he wants to dominate. I think he's going to want to get like 2+ type sacks. So I think Aaron Donald has a good game. I think Jalen Ramsey, with how timid and how long Mason Rudolph holds the ball, I think he has an opportunity maybe to get a pick, maybe a pick six. I don't think this is going to be a close game. I really do believe the Rams are going to win handily in this game. I think they're going to end up winning like a 10+ point. Let me say that 7+ points. I think they win by at least a touchdown. I don't know. I just don't think this is going to be a close game. I would not be though surprised if it is. It is a road game in Pittsburgh, but I think that the Rams have something really hard to play for, especially with a tough NFC. I know so do the Steelers. With the AFC wildcard picture, they are going to try to get back into, but I think the Rams handle business in Pittsburgh. And then going into the final afternoon game on Sunday, Carolina's traveling out to Green Bay to face the Packers. The Panthers on their injury front, Vernon Butler has not practiced with a back injury. Greg Little still out with his concussion. James Bradbury has not practiced with a groin injury. That's actually a crucial one. He's their best cornerback, and he can actually match up with a guy like Devontae Adams and slow him down. Christian McCaffrey's been limited this week with a knee injury. Gerald McCoy's been limited with a knee injury. As far as the Packers front, Adrian Amos has not practiced with a hamstring injury. Devontae Adams has been limited with a toe injury. And then Marquez Valdes-Scantling, MVS is the easier way to say it, has been limited with the ankle and knee injury. As far as how I think this game's going to go, I think the Packers are so disappointed for just basically dropping the ball in LA against the Chargers last week. I think they're going to be fired up. They're at home. There has been snowing up there in Green Bay. It looks like we might get a snow type of game on Sunday. So I think the Packers are going to handle their business. This is going to be a very telling game for Kyle Allen. If we remember a couple of weeks ago when he traveled to San Francisco, while it wasn't necessarily his fault, he kind of had a mediocre game, which ended up leading to the 49ers completely dominating him. And if he doesn't come to play where he balls out, I think that they could end up struggling there in Green Bay. I'm going to take the Packers in this one. I think it will be close, though, because the Panthers are still a good team. They got an MVP candidate in Christian McCaffrey. The Packers' defense has actually been letting up a lot of rushing yards over the past month. So I think Christian McCaffrey does help them stay within this game. I think the Packers win by like 4 or 5 points. I could see this being like a 28-24 type win for the Packers. But I am going to take the Packers over the Panthers in this matchup. And going into the Sunday night game, it's Minnesota traveling to Dallas to face the Cowboys. As far as no news on either team, but both teams are kind of dealing with some injuries that might have an impact on how this game plays out. Linval Joseph has not practiced with a knee injury. Adam Thielen has not practiced with his hamstring injury, but the expectation is Adam Thielen will probably more than likely miss this week. Trey Waynes has not practiced with an ankle injury. CJ Ham has been limited with an ankle injury, and Mike Hughes has been limited with a knee injury. On the Cowboys front, they got some names on their injury report as well. Amari Cooper has not practiced with a knee and ankle injury, but the expectation is that he will play. Something to monitor. He should get some limited reps in today's practice. Lael Collins has been limited with the knee. Jeff Heath has been limited with a shoulder and knee injury. Zach Martin has been limited with a back and ankle injury. Sean Lee has been limited with a pectoral injury. Tyron Smith has been limited with an ankle injury. And Leighton Vander Esch has been limited with a neck injury. Now, as far as this game, this is probably the toughest game on Sunday. I don't know how to predict. When I was putting together my script last night, I didn't know how to. I was like, who am I going to pick to win this game? Like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know who's going to win this game because, like, for the Vikings, like, they just lost to the Chiefs. So I'm like, oh, they're going to come out fired up, ball out, and get this win. It's not like an outdoor game where they typically struggle, but it's a Kirk Cousins game where he typically struggles against good teams and he typically struggles on primetime matchups. So that's the reason, like why I think they could win or why I think they could lose. And then you look at the Cowboys. Cowboys are at home. It's a Sunday night game. They need to keep that lead on the Eagles to make sure they can win the NFC East. Everything screams that they should come out and win this game. But then it's like, I don't trust Jason Garrett in the second half of seasons. Like, I don't know if this team will come to play. We see them, beat up on the bad teams, but then we see them struggle with the good teams. So, like, I don't know how to pick this game. I really don't. Like, I could see the Cowboys winning. I could see the Vikings winning this game. I think whoever wins this game is going to win by 3 points. Maybe it comes down to a last-minute field goal. And you know what? I think I just had a revelation. I forgot that the Vikings kicker is Dan Bailey, a former Cowboys kicker. So you know what? I'm going to take the Vikings. I can see the Cowboys winning. I'm going to say Dan Bailey gets his revenge, and he kicks the game-winning field goal to beat the Cowboys to help the Vikings stay within a game of the Packers of the NFC North and to stay afloat of the the NFC wild card. So I'm going to take the Vikings just because that just popped in my head. I'm going to trust my gut on that, but I also could see the Cowboys winning this game too. And then as far as the Monday night matchup, Seattle is traveling to San Fran to face the 49ers. No news on either team. I can't wait for that matchup, though. I mean, guys, if anybody's remembered over the last 4 years, usually the Monday night matchups kind of get trash when we get to the end of the season because whoever the schedule makers are end up guessing the wrong matchups and put it on as a Monday matchup because you can't predict injuries. You can't predict when teams, fall flat on their faces, which end up leading to bad Monday night matchups. But they got a good one. This is like I feel like this is the first game in a long time in November and December where it's like, I cannot wait to watch that Monday night game. Tune into my Monday episode. I will, of course, give you guys the injury report heading into the matchup if there's any news that comes out over the weekend on either team, and I'll give you my prediction then. And then I'm already at the end of the episode. It's been a quick one, but guys, I would not expect that my episodes are pretty quick in these last 2 months because we're in the last 2 months of the season. News is very quiet around this time of the year. But I'm at my producer question. Rob, he looks like it's related to last night's game. Should the Chargers blow it up and start looking to rebuild for the post-Phillip Rivers era? And if so, what's the first move that you would make? Okay, yeah, I do. I think they should. Rivers just hasn't had an up and down year, more of a down year than that. I think his age is coming towards him. I don't know if they want to necessarily bring him back, but I also don't know if he really wants himself to train a new guy. I definitely think no matter what, if Phillip Rivers is in a Chargers uniform or not next year, they need to draft a quarterback. I don't know if they need to go try to get a veteran quarterback to compete next year. And the first move that I would make, though, because they're probably going to let Melvin Gordon walk, which I really don't agree with, but that's probably the case. So they weren't willing to pay him now. I don't think he's going to want to re-sign, but I think they need to address the offensive line. That if there's anything that showed me last night is that you can have – if you watched last night's game proves to people like if you can have all the pieces around you, right? You can have a Mike Williams, a Keenan Allen, a Melvin Gordon, an Austin Eckler, a Phillip Rivers, a Hunter Henry. But if that offensive line can't give you any time to throw, then you're not going to be able to do anything. Russell Okung is older in his age. They need to address the left tackle position of the future. They need to shore up that offensive line. Yeah, I mean, if I would do anything, I would address the offensive line, maybe I don't know, maybe bring back Rivers on a 1 or 2 year contract, but draft a quarterback too. But it's kind of hard to get your left tackle of the future and also get a quarterback of the future. I don't know. I think they need to focus on building that line while trying to get a quarterback they can develop to be the future star. I don't know I know there's rumors floated out there that maybe they could go after Tom Brady to help sell tickets and all that, but I don't know if that's necessarily the answer because I don't even know if Tom Brady could do anything behind that offensive line. But yeah, I think it is. I think maybe it is time to blow it up. Maybe you do move a Keenan Allen to get some draft capital. He is getting older in his age. If they end up blowing it up, it's not like they're going to compete in the next couple of years. So maybe I think they do need to make some changes though, so they can sell tickets for when that LA stadium is ready here, I believe in the next, I want to say not next year, but the following year. But yeah, I think it is time to blow things up. But who knows, guys? Chargers could do Chargers things and win the next 4 weeks, and all of a sudden they're sitting there at 8-6. So let's see how the season plays out. But I would lean towards maybe that not happening because that offensive line it's garbage right now. Yeah, other than that, thank you guys for listening to this episode. If you like what you hear, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, too, if you're watching this on YouTube, keep in mind the audio version always ends up on the Blitzalytics podcast network. We're on all podcast platforms like Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. And if you're on iTunes and you're listening to this, please give us a 5-star review. Give us a rating. That does help people out like us. But yeah, please subscribe. Also on the Blitzalytics podcast network, to go ahead and plug this, is the Fantasy Football Hot Seat with my producer, Rob. Me and Rob have a blast doing this show. We do starts, sits, duds, waiver wire targets, trade targets, all that good stuff. And then if you have anything to give for this year as far as charities, we have a great charity. It's the All Heart Charity League. We have 10 different leagues for 10 different charities. Please go give that. But one other thing I do want to plug, guys, is we have a great store going on. Rob is basically the heart and soul of Blitzalytics. If you guys have seen any of the audio work, this whole thing is because of him.
He does amazing work, and he's created some great T-shirts. Just like awesome John Gruden / Joker T-shirt, a DK Metcalf T-shirt. He's got tons of artwork on his website that people can buy. If you go to Blitzalytics.com on the it'd be your right-hand side, there's the store button. If you click on that, it goes to the store, and there's tons of options. His handle is @RobRobGraphics. If you guys are looking for some stocking stuffers, if you maybe have an idea, I'm telling you, if you toss an idea or maybe a T-shirt you like to him, he can come up for something with you. He can get you guys some great gifts to give your family for Christmas this year. So please go check out that store. I know he's working on things to add to the store over the next month as we get towards Christmas. So please go check that out. But other than that, like I said, if you like what you hear, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. I want to thank you once again for tuning into this Friday episode. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you enjoy your Sunday, and I'll see you guys Monday. Blitz out.
Thank you for watching Cody Talks NFL, presented by Blitzalytics.com. As always, hit that like and subscribe button, and then hit that bell notification icon to stay up to date on all things football.